Hello, everybody. We're interrupting our vacations and our time away to bring you some very timely information. Last Saturday morning, the international order, as the world has been for the last 75 to 80 years, rolled over and died a painful, horrible, fiery death when Nicolas Maduro was captured and taken back to New York. So Maduro had been wanted by the U.S. for several years. He was charged with narcoterrorism. He was charged with conspiracy to import cocaine, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and also conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. And this has been big news over the last couple of days. And really, this doesn't matter that much.
Mm.
Yes, the president of Venezuela, you can call him legitimate, call him illegitimate, has been taken to the United States. Yes, the Russians are not happy. There's been some stuff that's also happened in the last day and a half with the U.S. capturing a Russian flagged oil tanker. Chinese are obviously not happy with this either. They were just meeting with Maduro the day before that he was taken. But the thing that most of the news is missing is that the international order is essentially gone.
Yeah, and it's not coming back. And it's worth noting that, as Dave has mentioned, this is not a regular season pod. This is, I think we both agreed, this is the start of season four, but we're not back at regular programming. We originally did a pod about this two days ago,
Hmm.
and we scrapped it. And basically, the reason we scrapped it was because it was very focused on Venezuela, on the ramifications of the specific action of taking Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela along with his wife. And the reality is that's not what's important here. I mean, if you're following the news cycle right now, you'll know the news cycle has already moved dramatically on, but has also probably oversaturated you with stories about Venezuela. We're not focusing on Venezuela. We're focusing on the implications. We're focusing on how this is going to affect you. And I think, just from our conversations, Dave, the thing that we both agreed on is, again, the collapse of that order that you've just described is not just going to have implications for America going forward, that's obvious. It's going to have implications for every other country as well, because America has set the tone for that, what people used to call the international rules-based order.
Hmm.
America has set the tone for that for so long that an American administration openly going, yeah, we're not doing this anymore, and we're going to continue to not do this. It's
Yeah.
really going to set the tone, isn't it, Dave?
Well, yeah, it's like basically we've gone out of orbit, so to speak,
Yep.
and we've decided that we can go off and do our own thing, and other countries are going to follow.
Yeah.
And if we're seeing this as being it's essentially the law of the jungle, the law of physical power, well, the
Mm.
Russians, North Korea might even try to do something as well. Terrorist groups, organized criminals, these guys are going to step up and go, well, all of this international law and the international order and things like that, we don't really care. We're going to do what we want to do because we have the power and we have the capabilities to do it. And they can do it. Why can't we?
Yeah. And I mean, I think over the last year, we've seen numerous examples of what I would consider to be regional or middle-sized powers
Hmm.
moving in this direction. You saw it with Thailand and Cambodia, that conflict. You've seen it to an extent in the Caucasus. You've seen it in South Asia. You've definitely seen it big time in the Horn of Africa and in parts of the Middle East. And I think this event is going to turbocharge that, where any dispute between countries, any border dispute is going to get blown up, and it is going to get militarized much more quickly than it may have done in the past. Because again, when you're in a environment where might makes right, and the most important country in the world is saying that openly, You are going to behave in that way. And it is going to lead to so many conflicts opening up or reemerging in the near future that I think people are not really prepared for the ramifications of this.
I mean, I was thinking about this and I talked about this on the other pod that we scrapped. This reminds me a lot of, you guys have read The Call of the Wild. It's a book by Jack London. And you could say the international order is like Buck. So Buck is the main
Hmm.
character of Call of the Wild. He's a domesticated dog from California. He gets dog napped, he gets put into a crate, he goes up to Seattle, and once he gets to Seattle, he's cut out of the crate and he lunges at a man in a red sweater, and the man with the red sweater beats Buck and beats him and beats him and beats him. And Buck learns by being into submission that the man with the club is a lawgiver and he's a master to be obeyed. And these countries, middle power countries, they're going to look at, I think, the United States, Russia, China, other countries that are powerful militarily, and they go, well, okay, maybe we can't stand up to them, but we can stand up to our neighbors. We're stronger than our neighbors.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think the US is still going to continue to try to call the shots. I mean, you can say it's the Dunro Doctrine is what's being called now in Latin America. You're going to have other countries as well that are stepping up in their regions, and they're going to be usurping and pushing away the international order that's kind of held the balance for everything for the last 70 years. Is this the natural phase of things? Possibly. But at the same time, nobody in the world is prepared for this.
No, no. And I think that's the key thing is the amount of, I don't want to say chaos, but the amount of uncertainty that has just been injected into international relations is kind of unreal. Because even when, I mean, it's not like the last 20, 30 years of American history have been without military interventions that were legally questionable, because there have been a few, but it was always done with the idea that it was somehow part of the international legal order, that you would either shoehorn it in or find some reasoning behind, oh, this is why what we're doing is justified.
Mm-hmm. Even Iraq, when you go back to the
Oh,
WMDs.
totally. I mean, I'm really thinking of Iraq, because that's, I think, for both of us, kind of our frame of reference when we think about things like this. I mean, there is none of that going on right now. And there's a very explicit statement coming from the administration that we're doing this essentially because we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes the dynamic. That changes the dynamic of, again, all the regional powers, all the middle ranking powers who are now going, we have precedent to disregard the idea of the international rules based order, which even when the US didn't follow it, definitely held it up as like, this is how relations should be. Might not always be how they are, but this is how they should be. Now that that's been repudiated, again, I think you just don't know what's going to happen next. It's almost impossible to predict what the ramifications of this thing is going to be. But good Lord, it's going to be big. And keep an eye out because
Definitely.
things are about to get dicey, and not necessarily just in cases involving America or even larger powers like Russia and China, which I think on a greater or smaller level absolutely subscribe to that same worldview. It's going to be smaller regional countries that start going, we have a claim on this land. We're going to take it.
Yep. And if you go back and you look at the three major theories of international political theory,
Mm,
you have liberal institutionalists, which kind of believe that we should all kind of work together and we're all kind of working to cooperate. You have realists that are primarily about physical power, and then you have constructivists that are like, well, we're here building an identity. All three of these theories have the underlying belief that the world is anarchic, that there's
Hmm.
nothing that governs political theory in the world. It's just there's no clear leader. And I think this is going to bring that back front and center. That the center of the world there is anarchy. And it's not, the Antifa anarchists running around saying abolish the government. It's the fact that there's nothing that's really in control of the world. There's not one single force that
I mean,
undermines
I would
political
contrast what
decisions.
you're saying. Contrast what you're saying, which I tend to agree with, but I think it's almost you have that what I understand to be the political ideology of anarchism, and then you have more, I think, the current viewpoint, which is more nihilism, really, which
Hmm.
is sort of going, you know, behind these actions, behind this grasping for territory or national honor or identity or whatever it might be, there is nothing else. I mean, it's a view of the world that does not believe in ideology, and it does not believe in, I guess, the constructive power of ideas. It's going, you have actors and you have actions, and that's it. And I think that's where we're at right now,
Yeah.
realistically. And I think it will be interesting to see because, again, we're moving from a period where I think even if you disagreed with it, the predominant thinking was absolutely centered on liberal institutionalism.
Hmm.
That has been, someone hit the ejection button on that. That's gone. That's over the horizon. I don't think it's coming back, really.
No, I don't either. And to
No.
reference the Call of the Wild again, there's a dog named Curly in the Call of the Wild. And pretty early on in the book, Curly is trying to be friendly with some of the other dogs, and well, she gets killed. And that scares the shit out of Buck. And Buck learns that,
Hmm.
well, I'm gonna have to fight and I'm gonna have to defend myself. And is there going to be a Curly in the world that still is believing in international institutions for them where they can come and play fair? And it might not really work out for them too well.
And I think we're about to see that happen, unfortunately. But my suspicion is 2026 might be the year of the curly.
Yeah, that it might.
Anyways, that doesn't really work, but you know what
No,
I'm
it
saying.
it 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 doesn't. I mean, it's not going to be the low of or the the year of the Mo, and it's probably not going to be the year of the Larry either. And probably not the year of the Curly. Maybe not the Curly Fry.
I wish it was the year of the curly fries. Those things are great.
They are.
Anyways, um, we will. I mean, that was an interesting segue of tone at the end.
That was.
Anyways,
That was. We'll keep it. We'll keep it.
yuck, yuck, yuck. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Welcome to season 4. Again, we're not going to start regularly scheduled programming for, I think, a couple weeks, but we are returning to it soon, depending on how events play out in the world, which is so unpredictable right now, as we've been discussing. There may be, I would describe them as irregular episodes
Hmm.
popping up here and there, but we will not return to regularly scheduled programming, I think, really until February. So please, please like, comment, subscribe, share, comment, comment. We appreciate all feedback from our On the Fringe community. And thank you so much for listening. I'm Gavin.
This is Dave, and
Hit the
I've got the
button.
record button right here.
Hit the button.